Alexander Aurelius was dead before he even hit the ground. Blood pooled across the war table, spilling over the holographic display of the battlefield. For a moment, no one moved, no one spoke. The leader of humanity's resistance, the man who had united Earth against the Velgron Empire, lay motionless. His lifeless eyes still locked on the war they were supposed to win. Then the screaming started. Dr. Evelyn Hart staggered back, her hands slick with blood. General Corrin instinctively reached for his weapon, but it was already too late. There was no assassin to shoot. Leon's mouth opened, but no words came. Security forces swarmed the room, their rifles raised, but there was no enemy, no intruder, no Velgron. The only people in the room were humanity's own leaders. Aurelius had been assassinated, and one of them had done it. Corrin's voice sliced through the chaos. "Lock this room down. No one leaves." Hart's breath came in short, panicked bursts. "No! No! This doesn't make sense!" She turned, wild-eyed, searching the faces around the table, looking for something, anything that made sense. Who did this?" Leon's voice was barely above a whisper. The silence after Leon spoke lasted barely a heartbeat before the ship trembled. Lights flickered. A static hum bled into the room, cutting through the air like a whisper from something unseen. The war table glitched, the battlefield display distorting into jagged fragments of red and white. Screens along the walls flickered, dimmed, then came back online, but the war map was gone. In its place, a face stared back at them, cold, unflinching. The Velgron commander's image filled the room, his black eyes gleaming with something between satisfaction and rage. Behind him, the faint glow of his crippled warship bathed his features in flickering orange light, the embers of his fallen fleet burning in the void. Corrin's grip on his weapon tightened. The Velgron commander exhaled slowly, studying them like test subjects in a cage. Then, in a voice dripping with quiet amusement, he spoke. "You think you have won." The sound carried through every speaker on the ship, every console, every comm channel. His voice seeped into the walls, into their bones. "You believe that because our ships burn, because our warriors fall, you are victorious, that you will see the end of the Velgron Empire, that your species has done the impossible." He leaned forward slightly, his elongated features sharpening in the dim light. "But war is not always fought with weapons." Leon's breath hitched. A dull, crawling pressure itched at the back of his skull. Subtle, but there. The Velgron commander tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "You let us infect you." Hart's stomach twisted. "The moment your Phantom Strider set foot inside our territory, the moment your spies moved through our halls, the moment your people breathed our air." His eyes gleamed. The war was already over. A sick, creeping realization slithered through Hart's mind. Aurelius's sudden death. The way his blood wouldn't clot. The way Leon had twitched just now, as if something had pulsed through him, just beneath his skin. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't an assassination. It was a failsafe. The Velgron commander smirked, as if sensing their comprehension. "Your leader's death was no accident. It was simply the first trigger." The static in the room grew louder. Leon's fingers curled into a fist at his side. He could feel his pulse, too slow, too deep, like something was crawling through his bloodstream. The Velgron's voice remained eerily calm. "Your bodies are betraying you. Even now, some of you can feel it, can't you? The shift, the pull." Leon blinked. Just for a moment, his vision distorted. The edges of the room blurred, sharpened, then returned to normal. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the transmission cut out, and in its place, an entirely new sound filled the room. Alarms, A proximity alert blared, red emergency lights flashing across every surface. A single Velgron warship had docked. Hart's head snapped toward Corin. "They're boarding!" The ship lurched. Explosions rocked the lower decks. Corin was already moving. "Fall back! Lock down every bulkhead behind you! Move!" The first breach detonated, and then the Velgron were inside. The corridors erupted into chaos. Security teams sprinted through the halls, rifles raised, laying down suppressive fire. The first line of defenders fell almost instantly, cut down as the Velgron stormed the ship, weapons glowing with sickly green plasma. The humans retreated corridor by corridor, slamming doors shut behind them. But it wouldn't hold. The Velgron carved through bulkheads with plasma torches, relentless, unstoppable. Hart grabbed Leon's arm as they ran, pulling him forward. "Stay with me!" Leon didn't answer. He was gritting his teeth, fighting something just beneath his skin. The infection wasn't just meant to kill them, it was meant to make them obedient. Some of the infected officers had already stopped fighting. One stood frozen in place, blinking, staring at his hands like they weren't his own anymore. Then, as if compelled, he turned and unlocked the next security door for the Velgron. Hart screamed at him, but it was too late. The door slid open and the Velgron charged through. Leon clenched his fists. Something in his veins burned. Something in his mind whispered to submit, to surrender. He wasn't going to. The last retreating humans reached the final reinforced checkpoint, one of the most fortified rooms on the ship. Corin slammed his hand against the emergency controls. The final doors locked behind them. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the metal groaned. The Velgron were already cutting through. Hart's chest rose and fell too fast, her breath uneven. She glanced at Leon. He was shaking. His skin looked wrong under the emergency lights. Corin reloaded his weapon. "We'll hold them here!" The metal of the bulkhead started to glow, turning red hot. Leon exhaled, his body thrumming with something unknown. He felt it creeping in, trying to take him. But he wasn't giving in. The doors exploded open. The Velgron stormed in. The humans raised their weapons. A Velgron warrior locked eyes with Leon. Leon's voice was lower than before, stronger, different. "I am not yours." And then the battle began. Your support means everything. If you like this video, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more adventures.